Hello, everyone. It's Michael again, the modern reformer, and today we're going to be talking about the various components of the checks and balances system, because you've been taught some of them throughout your life, but some of them that are critically important, I know you've never been taught. You've never been taught anything about them, and they're very important. So, we're going to go ahead and delve into that today because this is part of dispelling the propaganda and dispelling the myths of some big communist overreaching government that seems to be all powerful, because that's not how this works. So, let us begin. Okay, so we're going to need to go down to the Bill of Rights in order to discuss this in this subject in its entirety. But you're familiar with three of the components of the checks and balances system. The three you have been taught most likely in school are the legislative, executive, and judicial branches of government. Each one has a specific function. They're all owned by the people, all three branches of government, but we have the various public servants managing them, if you will. However, however, there are three components of the checks and balances system you are not as familiar with. In fact, you are not taught about these ever really, and you need to know them. They are the militia, as outlined in the Second Amendment. Then the fifth would actually be in the Fifth Amendment, and it is the grand jury. The grand jury, the common law grand jury, to be clear. And then the sixth component of the checks and balances system is the common law petit jury, the petit jury or trial jury, as you guys are more familiar with. It's the one that's the one that says guilty, not guilty. So, six components, one more time. You have the legislative, executive, and judicial branches of government. Legislative branch is outlined in Article 1, executive branch is outlined in Article 2, judicial branch is outlined in Article 3 of the Constitution. Second Amendment shows the fourth component, which is the militia. The Fifth Amendment shows the fifth component, which is the common law grand jury. And the Sixth Amendment shows the sixth component of the checks and balances system, which is the common law petit jury or trial jury. Now, like I said before, not all three branches of government belong to the people, but however, they're managed by the public servants. However, with the three latter components, the militia, the common law grand jury, and the common law petit jury, they belong to we the people as well, and they are also managed directly by we the people of the United States. Government doesn't have a role or doesn't have any authority over those components. Those are our entities, and they are there to protect us from various forms of corruption. So I need to just give a very brief once over of what each one does. We're going to actually start with the grand jury, the common law grand jury. So the common law grand jury is an entity specifically designed to protect the people from arbitrary and oppressive government action. That is its core purpose, period. As such, one of the many ways it protects us from that oppressive government action is to make sure, as the Fifth Amendment says, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime, a felony, unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury. So, That's one of the many ways, making sure you don't get locked up without a grand jury presentment or indictment. And a presentment or indictment, they're the same thing. It's just a list of the charges against the accused and potentially a list of witnesses as well for the accusations. So that's one of the many ways the common law grand jury protects us. However, they protect us in many other ways. This entity is super old. It's been around at least bare minimum 800 years, dating back all the way to the Magna Carta of 1215. And let's say government did, in fact, launch some sort of oppressive action. Not only would we have the ability to protect the people from crimes, oppressive government crimes, but the grand jury also has the power to send in and recruit anyone to essentially function as an enforcement arm, a law enforcement arm, in order to combat this oppressive government action. The common law grand jury is the top law enforcement entity in all jurisdictions except the military and the militia. And to be clear, the military and the militia can assist the grand jury, but when the Fifth Amendment says here, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, it's meaning the grand jury's jurisdiction is the entirety of the United States, except on the jurisdiction of the military or militia. So that would be military property, okay? Military property, militia property, things like that. If the military or the militia did something on, just some sidewalk that belongs to the city or the county or something along those lines, then they would in fact fall under the grand jury's jurisdiction in a situation like that. So just wanted to clarify. Anyways, the grand jury has the ability, though, to recruit the militia, the army, any other law enforcement entity, anyone they want, in order to combat oppressive government action, because they are the top law enforcement entity in all jurisdictions. Now let's move on to let's cover the petit jury. So the common law grand jury, one of the ways they protect you, like I said, is making sure you don't get prosecuted for a felony unfairly. So now you have the common law petit jury, the trial jury. And this jury makes sure you're not convicted unfairly. See, because they are impartial. So their focus is a lot more narrow. It's as opposed to the grand jury. The petit jury is focused on cases, criminal cases. There can be civil cases as well where a jury is also in place, but as you can see here, they have a heavy emphasis in criminal prosecutions. So the petit jury makes sure you will not be convicted in the event that someone's trying to oppress you. Now, what's going on right now is that they're trying to tell the petit juries that they are required to take some sort of an oath and go along with the agenda of the state, or go along with the agenda of the judge or the prosecuting attorney, the DA, whoever it is. That could not be further from the truth. The petit jury does whatever they want to do. Same thing for the grand jury. They don't listen to public servants because, like I told you before, the public servants do not own these entities, nor do they manage them, nor do they get a say. These entities belong to we the people of the United States, and they are managed by us completely. It is not a discussion. It is not a debate. Public servants don't get a say on the decisions of these entities. So let's say a someone got indicted for for some silly reason. Okay, you know what? Let's back up. We're gonna back up. I'm gonna show you how this would work, and this is something the founders have done. We'll start with the grand jury. Let's say the state or the Congress decides they want to pass a law that is super oppressive, and they say, no more Bibles. No more Bibles. Anyone who has a Bible is going to be prosecuted. If you own a Bible, you will be prosecuted. It's just like, well, hold on. That's against the law. But all the judges fail to do their job because for some reason they're corrupt or whatever, and they've refused to stand by the Constitution. Or the law enforcement refuses to stand up. When I say law enforcement in this instance, I'm referring to the sheriff and individuals like that. The grand jury is law enforcement too, like I said, but I'm referencing public servants in this instance. So the point is, everyone has failed overwhelmingly to do the right thing and uphold and defend this individual's rights. And Congress is now just running around trying to pass laws that are completely unconstitutional, and no one's doing a thing about it. The grand jury could say, nope, that is completely unethical, it is oppressive in nature, and it is unconstitutional. The buck stops here. This man shall not be prosecuted for violating your stupid statute. Doesn't matter if you've created the statute. Your statute is evil. And I'm using the word evil and oppressive on purpose because it doesn't have to be that the statute is unconstitutional. It can be the fact that the statute or law is oppressive in nature, because that is how the grand jury truly works. Like I said, their whole purpose is to protect the people from arbitrary and oppressive government action. The grand jury can operate in the realm of ethics. They're not just strictly bound by law. They can operate in the realm of ethics. It's a beautiful thing. So, now let's say in this hypothetical, just to show you what the petit jury can do, let's say somehow even the grand jury fails to do the right thing, and now someone's being prosecuted because they own a Bible. They own a Bible and their rights are being violated. The petit jury can clearly see their rights are being violated, so what do? They're the last line of defense. They can easily say this man is not guilty. Not guilty. And that would be another function or step in the checks and balances system. And they would have stopped the corruption dead in its tracks. Doesn't matter if Congress passed a law. We, and utilizing our entities, put a stop to it immediately. We did not enforce it. We did not go along with their corrupt agenda. And then, should they consider, let's say the government now decides they're going to pass another law. It's, hey, we're going to pass a law that says if you're a Christian, we are going to take all your property and whatnot. The militia would have the ability to actually defend the Constitution, defend your God-given rights, and protect you by enforcing the law and stopping this oppressive action. And as you see here, it says clearly in the Constitution, a well-regulated militia being necessary. It is necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So militia is different than the land and naval forces. They're not the same thing. Militia is commonly referred to as farmers with pitchforks. Because that's what it is. It's just Joe Schmo, regular everyday guys who have decided to answer the call to defend freedom from some sort of oppressive action or some sort of foreign invader or something along those lines. And they're not military, but they are now working with the military, and they could work as well with the common law petit jury and just various other entities in regards to law enforcement. So that is how it would play out. That, and like I said, we manage and control all three of those entities. So you need to understand what's going on with those entities. The militia, which is like the muscle, they have demonized it. And the militia is basically all but gone, even though the Constitution says it must be a well-regulated militia, meaning it's got to have a lot of supplies and equipment in order to deal with the threats of the day, which is why we have the right of the people have the right to keep and bear arms, because the militia's got to be well equipped, well regulated, in order to maintain the security of a free state. But the militia has been demonized, and it's basically non-existent nowadays. The grand jury, you guys are not aware of this, but the grand jury is now being rigged, and the grand jury doesn't ever show up, ever take action to protect the people from arbitrary and oppressive government action. When is the last time you've ever seen the grand jury come forward and protect you? Did you see the grand jury come forward and prosecute any public servants for violating your rights when it came to COVID? No, because it's rigged right now. And then the other component, the petit jury, is also being rigged. Like I mentioned before, they are influencing, manipulating, intimidating, threatening the various petit juries, if not outright rigging them, in order to reach the verdicts that they want. Excuse me, they can't rig every single situation, but yes, they will rig cases. This is not beyond the enemy. The enemy is here to kill, steal, and destroy. There's nothing the enemy will not stoop to. Okay? So this is what's going on. That's why you're seeing all this corruption. We own these three entities. Well, we own all of these components of the checks and balances system, but we're not properly managing and asserting control over the three, the militia, the common law grand jury, and the common law petit jury, to the degree we're supposed to. And as a result, corruption is running rampant. We have the most powerful law enforcement entities in our hand, and we are not utilizing it properly. And as a result, like I said, corruption has run rampant. Nonetheless, we can combat this. We can correct this. And it is simply necessary right now that you understand you own these entities. We own them right now. We don't need to ask if we can do these things. We don't need permission from public servants. It is the law already. There is plenty of established case precedent, and you're reading this stuff in the Constitution. Not just case precedent. I mean, this is simply American history. The grand jury, the petit jury, and the militia all predate the existence of our country. They all predate the existence of the Declaration of Independence. All of them. So, it's just world history at this point. Anyways, I encourage you, assert your rights. It is, as the Constitution said, it's necessary to have the militia. Talk about the militia. Form the militia. It is important. Form your common law grand juries. Take back your common law grand juries. Ensure that you are in control of the common law petit juries, and that the petit juries and the grand juries are not being rigged. We can't have entities that are supposed to hold public servants accountable being rigged, and we cannot have public servants choosing who's going to be on these entities, because then they're picking who's going to hold them accountable. And if they just put their buddy in these offices and in these positions, then their buddy's not going to ever make sure they're doing the right thing. And you'll end up with corruption. So, anyways, I just wanted to share that with you all. I hope it was insightful. God bless you all. And reminder, I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. These are my own opinions. I'm simply expressing my own opinions. So please do not miscategorize my opinions as legal advice or legal aid of any kind. All right, everyone. Thank you for your time and have a blessed day. Goodbye.